channel. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Mary, if you didn't know. Help. Today I've decided to stop talking about books for a minute. Who reads books? Only nerds read books. So instead of talking about my thoughts on some books that I've read, I'm gonna talk about some fun thoughts that I had. On which topic, you may ask? Well, something that inspired me to think about it and eventually make a video is this person on TikTok who made several videos about what would Harry Potter characters listen, and I know that they would most likely be rocking out to some Weird Sisters, but we're talking about Muggle world here. Some good points were made in these videos. First, that Luna would listen to Melanie Martinez. I mean, she definitely would. Also, Alice in Wonderland would definitely listen to Melanie Martinez, but I feel like that's common knowledge. It's obvious, just to get it out of the way. Then that Cedric would listen to Harry Styles. I can see that. But the one that I like the most is that Hermione would listen to Adele. She definitely would. 100% positive. So I like this idea of associating different characters with the music they would listen to, and this is what I'm gonna do today. A little disclaimer, I know that most of them would probably listen to some classic music or some 60s jazz, because I'm gonna talk about mostly classic literature characters, but it's not what we're all here for, is it? I am gonna say that some classic character would listen to Dua Lipa. So with that being said, let's start. First, I'm gonna talk about Charlie from The Perks of Being a Wallflower a little bit more, and I know that there was plenty of music both in film and the movie. I mean, only Asleep by the Smiths was played 100 times, but I just want to say that there was an offensive lacking of the Cure songs there, because I know that Charlie would definitely love the Cure. And the second thing I wanted to say is that if The Verse of Being a Wallflower took place in this decade instead of 90s, the main characters, would definitely love some The Strokes, Declan McKenna, Cage the Elephant, especially the known and loved Cigarette Daydreams. Second, I want to talk about the one that I think makes the most sense for me, and I hope you like it too, because I'm gonna talk about Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. To me, Holden radiates the energy of an angsty teen who, if you ever saw a girl wearing Nirvana t-shirt, he would go, "Oh, you like Nirvana, do you? Name 3 songs." So yeah, it's the toxic Nirvana fan energy for me, and all that goes with it. Like, I don't know, Nickelback, Linkin Park. I'm not really good in this sphere, but I think you got the idea. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. Now, if I were to compare Mr. Darcy to a teenage boy, he would be, you know, like the guy from your class that's kind of silent, always calm, quiet, that always wears his favorite band t-shirt, merch, always has headphones, plays guitar, precisely electric guitar I would say, collects vinyls, you know, this type of guy, which is why I think he would love Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. These are the 2 bands that I think Mr. Darcy would definitely love to listen. I mean, R.I.P. Mr. Darcy, you would have loved Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. He's not a real person. Why did I just say that? Okay, how dare I speak about Mr. Darcy and not speak about Elizabeth Bennet? Of course, I am gonna talk about her a little bit too. For her, I have so many suggestions that I think are like beating around the bush, but not hitting it. So I don't know if I will make perfect sense here. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. If you have any other suggestions about other characters that I won't name in this video, also leave them in the comments below. I would be very pleased to hear about them. So Lizzie would definitely love some of the 70s bands, you know. I think that she would like some Fleetwood Mac, Queen, probably. She would probably like David Bowie. She would also love Adele. Now, I know that she would also love to listen to some female singers from like 70s or I don't know, 90s. So I picked Stevie Nicks for her because of my Fleetwood Mac association, and then Amy Winehouse because they're with Adele are kind of similar. So these are my suggestions for Lizzie, but I don't think I did the best job on her. Okay, next I also like this one, Winston Smith from 1984. For me, Winston is known for his desire to see something unusual, something out of bounds. Like there was one episode with his love interest where she was like wearing makeup and he, I think, told her that like the more makeup you have the better, because he was so tired and bored of this grey atmosphere they were living in, so he wanted something unusual. At the same time, he's a typical British guy, right? So what this typical British guy with some desire to something new would listen to? I think the answer is John Lennon. You know, war is over, all of that stuff, all of the unusual things he did with Yoko. At the same time, John Lennon is like the ultimate British guy, I think. And they also share a name, because John Lennon's second name is also Winston. Next I want to talk about Emma from Emma by Jane Austen. The one thing I remembered about her as a character is that she loves to dance. She's always down if there's some ball or just dancing. She loves that. She loves music in general, playing it, hearing it, dancing to it, everything. I think she would also like some Queen, but I also think that she would like ABBA. For some reason, that is the link that my brain made. Another weird link is that the Great Gatsby would listen to Frank Sinatra. You know, I think that he would be like the kind of poser guy that sits in his house with like the vinyl playing Frank Sinatra, drinking wine or like champagne or something in the meantime. Like, you know, after all of his great parties, he would just sit by himself in his library listening to some Frank Sinatra. That's what I'm imagining. Next one is a character from one of my favorite books, Crime and Punishment, Raskolnykov. And he's, okay, I think that he would love to listen to some punk music, because you know, not everything's good up here. But he's, you know, he's the type of guy that you want to empathize with him. You want to like pity him. Yes, he is a murderer. I hardly know her. The second time I make this joke on this channel, give it a rest. So I think that he would listen to some punk music, but you know, not the kind of punk music that some chaps would listen to, but the kind of punk music that's like, you know, indie, which is why I think that he would listen to Mother Mother, which is still punk, but still like cool music. Indie kids listen to it. I think another character from one of my favorite books, The Bell Jar, Esther Greenwood. This is probably my favorite one out of this list. I think that she will listen to Johnny Mitchell. I saved this one. I wanted to give Johnny Mitchell to Elizabeth Bennet, but I thought that this would make more sense. Like, I looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still, somehow, it's cloud illusions, I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Doesn't that give you the vibes of Esther Greenwood? It does to me. But now all friends, they're acting strange, they shake their heads and tell me how much I've changed. I looked at life from both sides now, I looked at love from both sides now. That's given me Esther Greenwood. Nothing you can do about it, but agree with me. It's getting dark while I'm here rambling on, but okay, there are a few more to go. First one is Pier from War and Peace, and I think that he would listen to Harry Styles. I have a full explanation for that. I think that he would not be like, you know, a full stan like some of us are. I think that he would just like his art, and in the things that Harry is talking about, he would find himself and he would find his own thoughts in his songs. If you think I don't have any proof of that, well, you're wrong. First, Cherry, he would listen to while thinking about Natasha. Falling, he would listen to what am I now? What if I'm someone you don't want around? All of that kind of stuff, and think about, yeah, what am I now? And then treat people with kindness. He would definitely like this idea, because at some point he's realizing that he needs to make the world a better place. He needs to do everything for other people, not for himself. So he would be like, yes, treat people with kindness. Side note, I think that Natasha would listen to Taylor Swift. Next, Bilbo, the Hobbit. He would listen to Ed Sheeran, and I don't know what idea came first into my mind, because I was like, Bilbo, definitely Ed Sheeran, and then I'm like, oh, but Ed Sheeran made a soundtrack for the Hobbit movie. So did I think about the soundtrack before, or did I just think about Ed Sheeran being associated with Hobbit? Well, I just think that it makes sense. I mean, they made Ed make a soundtrack for the movie for a reason, right? I think he is kind of, you know, comes to mind when talking about hobbits. And lastly, I don't have any artists in particular to talk about this, but I just want to say that when thinking about Hobbit, as in Bilbo, I was like, okay, well then Frodo, what would he listen to? I think that Frodo would just like be the kind of person to listen to whatever is on the radio and just listen to the pop songs, you know. But Samwise would be like the indie guy who would listen to the most indie music or the most vintage rock, you know, and he would be like, Frodo, what are you listening to? And he would recommend some good songs to him, you know, but Frodo would still listen to the radio. That's the headcanon that I'm having. Well, these were all of my thoughts on this topic for now. If you like this video, let me know. Maybe one day I'll make a part 2 for this. I'll think about other characters and what would they listen to. If you have some thoughts of your own on what would different characters listen, then feel free to let me know in the comments, of course. You can follow me on Goodreads if you want. You can follow me on Instagram accounts. I post my drawings there if you want. You can subscribe to this channel if you want. But for now, that was it. And I hope we see each other next time. Goodbye.